and or to the channel, Trucker Rod and the S.E.E channel. And it's February 17th, Sunday. Uh, I normally would get up at 4 o'clock in the morning on Sundays to get going. Usually my stops entail more driving. Today was just a 6.5 hour drive, and I'm like 40 minutes from my first stop. So, which is at the end of the Ohio Turnpike. And I'm here at the Loves. I want to say the last exit before going into Pennsylvania. So, I've got 5 new stops ranging from Pittsburgh to Philadelphia tomorrow. And also, before we continue on, if you could like, comment, and subscribe, it's going to help with the algorithm, getting the channel out for more recommendations. I keep forgetting to push that out. So anyhow, I picked up there. Yeah, so Pittsburgh to Philadelphia, then from Pennsylvania down to Virginia. So I pre-tripped my truck today, and the quarter fender on the driver's side in front of the duals, that plastic fender, in that snowstorm last week, which would have been Wednesday night, I know there's a lot of buildup of snow in that, and I just think somewhere along the line, the heavy snow and the ice, somewhere along the line, just put some weight on it and snapped it, because the everything was getting built up under the trailer. Snowstorm was bad, and it's pretty much like I said, I normally get up at 4 to get my day started. Today I got up at 6. I was gonna push it till 8 o'clock, but my wife had said snow and ice is ensuing now. So I got up, took a peek outside, and I said I better just get on the road, because you never know what you're gonna get with this stuff. And it is becoming dusk right now, but the snow has been on and off, coming heavy. I hung up with the wife back at 5:30. It's the snowstorm's now picked up. It's the heaviest it's been all day. And it wasn't bad up in Michigan. It stopped, so I was just driving through the slush and slushy snow all the way out of Michigan, for the most part, but no snow accumulation. It didn't get it till I got across towards Cleveland, and then it picked up, and the wind picked up. That was the big thing. So just happy to get shut down. I tried working outside and realized I don't have big enough wrenches. So tomorrow night, the way my route should work out, I'm over 90% sure I'll be at a Walmart parking lot. So I need to pick up a couple wrenches to take the bracket off, to change the quarter flap out. I picked up a new one because this one's ready to fall off, but I don't want to try to finish breaking it off and it won't, and then it's sitting there. So it's not doing any harm right now. So I'll deal with it tomorrow. It's just one of those things. And the speed co there at the Loves, right at the Ohio-Indiana line on the Ohio-Indiana Turnpike. No, I didn't. Did I get it there? No, I did not get it there. My apology. I did stop there, and they said it'd be a dealer-only item. So I stopped at all the truck stops in Perrysburg, at the 280 there on the Ohio Turnpike, east of Toledo, where, pretty much there's a Petro, a TA, a Pilot, a Flying J, a Loves, so everything's there. So I stopped at a TA. They didn't have anything in stock, but the Speedco for the Loves there did have them in stock, and for a good price, around $45, just over $45. This is that radar that keeps beeping. So I'm talking to my boss tomorrow about, I told him Friday to get this thing scheduled. The PM's coming up, and to get the wire harness on for the ABS so this nonsense can stop and all these anomalies. I'll tell you what, one thing about this, I've had this truck going on 15 months, and I am annoyed as all get up. The steering, the passenger side steer is cupping, the steering's back to pulling to the right. My shoulders are getting sore just holding the steering wheel, and I don't know what to tell these guys, that rider. So, but back in it goes again. At some point, I just need to say something to the boss lady. Like, this truck's it's a hand-to-hand combat driving it for the most part. It's definitely the bare bone stock, lowest spec item you could get on a order sheet to buy a truck. So, anyhow, yeah, I listened to a lot of streams throughout the week. One is a stream. I listen to a lot of finance, economic, investing channels all through the week. Besides, my free times, listen to other trucking channels, especially if they got something interesting to listen to, or some stats or something that could be a nugget of information. But this lady was talking about, should we abolish the property taxes? And I have said for the longest time, yes, two things: that Americans should not pay income tax out of their payroll. Our payrolls should not ensue any federal or state income tax. Well, how do the schools and the roads and the police? You know what? There's other ways to manipulate and pull the money from. But people are tired and they're sick of this crap. And the other is the property taxes, especially people getting ran out of their houses over this. Assessments and the taxes double, triple, what have you, and then add into the skyrocketing prices of house insurance. They're pushing everyone not to be in a house, and to the point, people are either going to leave this country at some point in the future, or you're just going to see more people on the streets. So we need to get rid of those two types of taxes: payroll taxes and property taxes. I would be more than satisfied with that. When you own your house, you should own your house, not rent your land still. As if I am, in a manufacturer park of 55 and over, I still have to rent the land under my house because it was a good starter home when my wife and I were down and out and financially burdened. It was a way for us to own something and have a garage and our own private yard, and just to have that without renting an apartment and dealing with a-hole neighbors. So I've done that for 13 years, and I just don't want to rent an apartment no more. It's like my daughter; she was hell bent. She's owning a house, and she is giving blood, plasma, to help offset some other costs while she gets nestled in for the first year. But we should not pay property taxes, cut and dry. Again, that comes around to our country, our citizens, we the people need to lower our standards. We live in this damn high and mighty entitlement age where everything, we should not have to work for nothing, be held any accountability for anything. As like what the Doge is doing to the Democrats in this last administration, but also previous administrations. But accountability has to be held upon the people. If you don't like it and you're just going to kick and scream and have your temper tantrum and, because you're not getting your way, too bad. We listened to some friends that said, yeah, we're downsizing our house. And their house they're going to rent until their new house is built is pretty much equivalent to the size we're in, and we're already in a house. We're like 4-bedroom house we're in right now, and it's just it's shy of 1,800 square feet. And I said, this is still too much house. We need half that square footage going into retirement. And I am just looking in the future when we downsize that we get a house that will not force us out, that we can manage when we're 80, 90 years old. I am not going to be put in a nursing home. I told my kids I have an exit strategy that will never see the day of hospice or a nursing home. But I think people need to understand when you're buying a 3-story, 3-car garage. I've been in this Loves today. This asshole here. Um, these guys have been racing by me. I'm in the parking lot. It is snow and ice covered, and they're coming through like 30 miles an hour. It is ridiculous. And this is the main artery where everyone's going up from the parking lot to the main Love store. And in the speed shop, or Speed Co. here, the repair shop's right in front of me. So I just don't get a lot of these folks that got to race through a truck stop. You're going to hit someone. Someone's going to hit someone, and that's just going to leave a ripple effect for the rest of us. So I don't know what it is, but you're in a snowstorm, and this is a snowstorm going on out here, and these guys are racing through here. Dude, there is nothing on any of these trucks in this parking lot that needs to jeopardize a human life for fatality. If it is such a medical emergency that there are supplies on there, it should have a police escort. Otherwise, slow your ass down. So, where am I picking up now? I just watched this guy. I mean, literally like a blur going by. I'm like, seriously. I don't know. Uh, where did I leave off, Miss Moderator? So yeah, the house. So I think a lot of people, we see the houses around us. A lot of farm fields, and I've said this before. Dairy farms to the north. I've got commercial chicken farms to the west of me, and I'm out in farmland where this little, I want to say, community is. And all of a sudden, a lot of the farmers are getting out because of no generational heritage to pass that on to. So therefore, they're selling off their land to developers who then hire contractors, building all these houses, these $500,000 houses, 3-story, 3-car garage, stacked on each other with maybe 15 feet apart from each other. That's not the way I want to live. But to be leveraged up on a house that size, now when you're going to start a family, have a family, the kids are kicked out and gone. Now you're 75, 85 years old, keeping that place up. Oh, we'll just sell it by then. Well, then what? What's your backup plan? I'm 58 going on 60. I'm like, I don't need the house I'm in. It's too big. It's just the wife and I, and we've already said we only use half of the house, the kitchen, the living room, and the bedroom we're in, and our master bath. That's it. So 900 square feet would be more than enough room for us. I got other things going on, and we'll bleed into that with the other things going on. But yeah, so I told her, I said, XYZ amount of these things are paid off. Then we're going to leverage up onto getting our second home, which will be our retirement home in a warmer climate, where we're planning on moving to, later on in the future, but not right now. But yeah, going forward, what did I say? I'd put that off. Businesses. So I've been listening, Tommy at Trucking Unfiltered, and a lot of these other guys that, and I've seen a lot of other guys coming and going. I think a lot of people have gotten into the lease purchase programs, a lot of these trucking channels, and it's been a bomb. Some have been making money, but the rest of them had to turn their truck in and either go company or go another route. Tommy brought up about unions, especially Jack Cooper. I remember back in the late 80s and that, Jack Cooper was paying $20-25 an hour then, hauling cars, car hauler. That was awesome money, because back then it was not unreasonable to start driving heavy haul at $10-12 an hour. Remember, this is 35 years ago, 37 years ago. So, long time ago for a lot of you youngins. But remember, too, gas was still under $1 then. So, I remember buying gas for my motorcycle in the 70s I could get premium for my I had a KX80 and I could get premium for 55 cents a gallon for premium. That was the leaded premium, not this unleaded. That was before unleaded came, like 75, 76. So everything was leaded back then, so it was good gas. It was racing gas. And no, things aren't what they are now. But yeah, he was talking about the unions, and I think there was some very good points on that. Unions were good back post World War II, leading up into the 60s, but I'd say by the 70s, Jesus, you guys, dudes are racing through here. It started petering out to where you could start seeing that, all right, they're getting greedy. But now unions have become nothing more than bullies on corporations. And the thing about it is, he brought up about the profit margins on dry van, reefer, your flatbed, specialized hauling, and the margins are small. And these guys, these unions too, these unions are, they're a business. So they're in business to do business, so you pay your dues to them. That's paying their business strategy. And really, are you getting the best representation from them when you pay your dues? You're on a fixed income when you get a pension, and that's the one thing I can say. With a pension, yeah, it's guaranteed, but I can also do that in a fixed annuity and take inheritance money. I could take a large sum of money. I could put that into that annuity and then back it with a GWell insurance. So I put it in under my name. Something happens prematurely to me, say 5 years after I've been drawing, and you draw on that amount until you die. It doesn't stop. But let's say I make 5 years, I die. So let's say that's in there for 10, 15 years. It builds, the interest and all that up. So anything that, from the time you put it into what you're making now, so, your interest and dividends and all that, you're not going to get that back in the GWell. You're just going to get in. So if you put $500,000 in it, that GWell is going to pay my wife then. That $500,000, she could turn around and invest it into an annuity and take a fixed income. So that way, you're not just sitting and parking it. You don't want to ever park a large amount of money in any bank whatsoever anymore. These banks have become openly crooks and thieves on people's money. But yeah, that's the one thing I've studied over the last going on 4 years. Where do I take my money and park it that is not volatile in the stock market and all that? So as we have flipped the script and we've gone from high debt and our income's down here, where we're like standing, like trying to climb out of that deep hole, to where now our debt's like getting down here and we're up here. So the script is flipped and it's getting to go in our favor. And I would say this year we're going to see way more. That ladder is going to climb where we're going to be further away from the debt, to where then I'm going to turn the machine on then and say, all right, when the debt's done, we will invest like a 70-30. 70% of income that comes in is going to go in investments for future use, and then the other 30 is what we're going to live on. But I've got the strategy down. It's going to work. It's just a matter of time and playing the long game and being patient. And I think that's where a lot of folks lose sight, is our society is in the mindset of now, instant gratification. If I can't push a button, if I can't have it today, tomorrow, how can I borrow the money and leverage up to get it so I've got it? But then, when the novelty's over and the party's over, you're stuck with the bill. And you're like, oh my God, then they're the ones that are crying, well, I shouldn't have to pay my bill. I shouldn't have to pay my student loans. I shouldn't have to pay my $100,000 diesel truck payment, or something like that, when times get tough and they're backed up against the wall. So you got to be fiscally responsible for your home front, because that's the one thing about getting into lease purchase or owner operator. Know your numbers. You need to know right down to the penny what you need to make. Everything that truck's going to need from A to Z, what it's going to need to cover its cost per month. And you need to know per mile what you need to make minimally. You can't go below that threshold without taking a loss. Not only the truck, but you also have to hedge in, what do you have personally? Do you have a mortgage? Do you have a car payment? Rent, utilities, car insurance, house insurance. You need to factor all that money in, and you need to break it down to what you need to be making per mile. And I've had another driver tell me this. I've heard Tommy say this, but you got to know your numbers. Knowing your numbers, even as a company driver like myself, I knew what I needed to be making, and I'm there. And as the debt's going down and the money's making more, but a lot of these guys will look on the outside looking in, especially if they're getting their CDL for the first time, or they're on the outside, on the sideline, and they're looking and saying, man, that guy's got a nice truck, he's got this, he's got that. But what did it take for him to get to where he's at? I wasn't making the greatest money, to me, in the late 90s. And when I hit the beginning of 2001, I got out of trucking and went to school, reinvent a career. Because unless I became an owner-operator and being away from home longer, that would have took time away from my kids, who were still young then. But I paused in life, went to college, tried to reinvent myself in a new career line. And I went at it for 10 years, but getting laid off twice in a year in healthcare. And it's just like, it was a bomb. And the thing of it is people are like, well, you were well invested into it, why didn't you stay in it? In my home area, there was, 4 hospitals. I had worked at 3 out of the 4. And at that time, when I got gone from there, they were only working people, that the type of work I was doing, they were only working 20 hours a week. There was no room to go across the street to the next hospital and trying to get work there, because they were cutting staff, cross-training people. Hell, they were at my hospital, last hospital I worked at, they were pulling the receptionist out and making them go do heart monitors, EKGs, and all that jazz. And the one girl was like, no, I'm not trained in this. I'm here to be a receptionist, do secretarial stuff, book stuff, check their insurance and jazz like that. Shortly after they tried dumping that on her, she quit and ended up getting a better job going down to Flint and working at the GM truck plant assembly. But the money wasn't there, even if I got back into it full time. I mean, a good average year with overtime, I was 48, 50,000. It was a letdown, disappointment. Even for me to look at people at a doctor and a RN status, like the RNs needed to make way more money, but they just weren't paying crap. And I'm pretty sure it was the area. And I do believe a lot of times it's location. When you can leave one area that may be economic depressed and go to another area, you may find that, and I know you will find that the pay is better, benefits are better, the cost of living, your housing and your groceries, and just the area is a better way of living. We can attest to that, what we did when we got up and moved nearly 3 hours across the state of Michigan to get back into trucking. It's taken me 10 years to be where I'm at. And I'm making 2.5 times more than what I made at the hospital, but also I've made up my wife's income loss and mine then. So yeah, it pays to, sometimes you need to bite the bullet and even look at relocating. Sometimes you're in a bad area that you just don't have that opportunity. The opportunity's not there, or it's not paying well enough. So those are options. Not saying you have to, but you have options in life. So don't, I want to say, plant yourself and plant that flag there and say, I'm never leaving. In our hometown, we have what we call the bubble, the people that will never leave that bubble, and they stay there, but they never see the world. They only see it through a, I want to say blinders on, but very different set of eyes than someone like me that has lived in Atlanta, Georgia, Michigan, Kentucky for nearly just under a year in Kentucky, back when I got out of high school. So there's a lot of things you need to do, because the more you can get out of your bubble of your hometown and see the country, the different regions of the country, different aspects of the world, it builds your character, it builds your persona to see things differently, because not everyone sees everything like your hometown people do. So anyhow, that's what's going on. I am going to try to either film or live stream when I do that quarter fender change. I got to grab some tools. If I make it to the Walmart, I'm going to grab some tools there. I don't have big enough wrenches for that big bolt to get that nut that clamps the bar for that quarter fender to go on that little stubby bar off the frame. So I came up short there. But anyhow, yeah, so the wife and I, we've noticed we've got some extra stuff at home. I said, let's meal prep more. So we're going to be cooking up different types of meats and putting them in bulk containers that I can bring out here and make up different variety of stuff in the truck using the microwave and what have you. But definitely making some changes in here. And the reason is I'm not doing any pastries like Little Debbie cakes or any snack stuff or candy bars. I've totally been off that since I've been in this truck. But I have been using white bread for sandwiches and that. And I told her I really need to cut the bread out. So that's what I'm going to do. So there are a lot of guys walking around out here in the snowstorm right now, and with trucks racing through. But I'm cutting bread back and just trying to do more vegetables, fruit, and straight up meat without adding it to a hamburger bun, a sandwich, slice of bread, anything like that. So just trying to change up some stuff to make it, yeah, my wife's Swiss rolls. That was her addiction before we got old, but in the day of having her monthly menstrual cycle is Swiss rolls, and we knew it's Swiss roll time. It's Swiss roll time. Okay, I got to go get Swiss rolls. So that was pretty much it. Yeah, didn't have to go much farther than that. But I've stayed away from the Little Debbie's and the truck stop food. When I did the day cab and stayed in hotels and ate at restaurants, sometimes what's next, what's walking distance, especially when you got weather like this, what's the walking distance from the hotel? And if it's a Subway, is it a Culver's, a McDonald's? And I wasn't going to order in because, man, you chew up your, I want to say, your nightly per diem for food allotment. You could burn that up just paying for food catering and tipping. So I don't know. It's much better this way. I don't have to fret about hotels for truck parking. And there's been times I've got to a hotel, they're booked out because of some event in town, or the truck parking's all taken up, or get in the hotel and there's nowhere to eat around there. So the sleeper truck here has definitely gave me leverage to be less stressed about that. More options for parking, whether it's truck stop, rest areas, the customers. I've got all these new customers in Pennsylvania, so I'm just getting to know them. So I don't know my existing customers. I know which ones I can stay at, and as long as I give them a heads up, normally they got cameras around the building. They can keep an eye on things while I'm there. But anyhow, I like doing this, being in a sleeper truck and all that. I just wish Mother Nature would knock this crap off. We're tired of fighting with it. So tomorrow I'm probably going to get about 4 stops done. And even though I'm still going to have time on my clock, but I deliver, like I explained to the one guy, because of George Washington's birthday tomorrow, something like that, President's Day. This one place is closed tomorrow, so they're going to meet me for Tuesday morning delivery. But they, I get out and get as close to my first stop because I'm up against the clock of their business hours. If they open, whether 6, 7, 8 o'clock in the morning to whenever time, like say 5 or 5:30, 6 o'clock in the evening. Some of them close at 3:30 to 4:30 in the afternoon. So I'm up against the clock of making my deliveries during their business hours. Once that shuts down, then I go park, or if I finished it in this state, and I'll call the customer for the next morning and say, hey, what time are you going to be there? I'll be there in the morning when you open. Look for me to be out there. But I'll drive to the next state, get as far as I can, do what I can, and then shut down and get reset for the next morning to make that delivery. So that's pretty much how my week goes. And when I go out, I've got 12, 15, 16 stops. The most I've had out here covering 5 states, I've had 19 stops, which took me the full, I think, right up to the 6th day. So leaving on a Sunday, I got back on a Friday. It's only happened once in the last nearly year and a half out here in this truck. So anyhow, folks, that's a little bit of what's going on with us. It's going well, but we're just waiting out. I'm praying that snowstorm will pass us and I'll have a calmer morning to travel on some hopefully well-maintained roads. So till the next video, stay safe, continue educating yourself. Knowledge is learned, not taught, and we will see you all in the next video.